Around the end of President Obama's second term, he had essentially let the Justice Department know that the federal government should no longer use private prisons. Now, he wanted to phase out private prisons on a federal level, even though states could choose to continue using them, and he promised to no longer renew any contracts. So that was good news because private prisons have a very shady history here in the U.S. Now, Jeff Sessions just released a statement saying, no. We like the private prisons. We're going to use them on a federal level. Now, Attorney General Jeff Sessions rescinded the previous directive to the Bureau of Prisons to either reduce or decline to renew private prison contracts as they came due. His statement said the following: the memorandum changed longstanding policy and practice and impaired the Bureau's ability to meet the future needs of the federal correctional system. Therefore, I direct the Bureau to return to its previous approach. Now, there's two issues there. Of course, there's the issue of using these prisons that have high levels of abuse, waste government money. I'll get into more details about why they're problematic. But in that statement, he made it very clear that they plan on arresting a lot more people and imprisoning a lot more people. And so we need to use these private prisons in order to house all these prisoners. And that should make you worry a little, okay? So the new directive would essentially impact 13 prisons that house a little more than 22,000 inmates. So if you look at the grand scheme of things, it doesn't impact a lot of prisons, but it was at least a good step forward under the Obama administration, and now we've taken a huge step back. Now I'm going to get to how much these prisons have donated to the Trump administration and the impact this has had on their stocks, but I want you guys to jump in first.
Okay, even if you're a conservative and you believe in the free market, by the way, I think we all believe in the free market, but you pride yourself on that if you're a conservative. And so what do you think happens if you incentivize something in the free market?
Right.
You'll get more of it, right? So if you incentivize making a profit by imprisoning your fellow Americans, you'll get more of it. Now, private prisons, yes, sometimes are used for undocumented immigrants, and so you might, be happy about that if you're a right-winger. I would argue it depends on who you're imprisoning, but you might not even argue that. But private prisons are also used to imprison American citizens. Now they have a profit motive to imprison more of you. So, and by the way, you know that in America, every company can give money to politicians. That used to be called a bribe. Now it's called a campaign donation. So you think those corrupt politicians aren't going to take campaign donations to imprison more of you? And you think they're only going to stop at undocumented people, which that's not true. Private prisons are all over the country, and undocumented immigrants are a small part of their business. You think they're going to just stop at minorities? Or at some point, are they going to need to make more money?
Well, it's already impacted American citizens. So if your concern is not about Americans and you're like, oh, well, who cares about these immigrants? First of all, how laughable is it to call yourself a fiscal conservative if you're in favor of using taxpayer money to detain immigrants for years before you deport them? Think about that. The only reason why we do that is so private prisons can make money. And again, it's taxpayer money. They're called private prisons because they're publicly traded. You can buy stock. They have a board of investors. They have all that. It's run like a business looking to make a profit, but it is mostly funded by taxpayer money, okay? And it's ridiculous. So we keep these immigrants there for years, then we deport them, wasting taxpayer money. Let's keep it real. And then on top of that, think about the types of policies that we continue pushing for, even though they make no sense. So prohibition of certain drugs, prohibition of marijuana, for instance. Why do we imprison so many people for either trafficking or just having possession of marijuana? Because private prisons make money off of it. You look at the history of private prisons, they started in the 1980s when there was this influx of,
war on drugs
and all that. And so private prisons realize, hey, this is big business. These state-run and federally run prisons can't house all these inmates. So why don't we build our businesses and get taxpayer money to imprison marijuana users? Right. It's insane.
And we're talking about billions of dollars a year. Can you read some of the campaign contributions? Because it's really just 4 corporations that run and own these privatized prisons that are making billions of dollars a year. It's crazy.
So the Geo Group and CoreCivic donated $250,000 to support Trump's inaugural festivities. Separately, the Geo Group gave $275,000 to the pro-Trump super PAC, Rebuilding America Now. Rebuilding America Now is a hilarious name.
Well, rebuilding American prisons now.
Yeah, exactly. One $100,000 donation came a day after the Justice Department announced it would no longer use the facility. So think about that. Justice Department says we're no longer going to use these facilities under the Obama administration. And then immediately after that, they donate $100,000 to Trump's campaign. And by the way, since Trump got elected, the stock value for these private prisons has doubled.
Yeah.
So we're not even hiding the bribery anymore because they thought, well, nobody's doing anything about it, right? They're not getting the money out of politics. So what difference does it make? Yeah, Trump, here's your $100,000 bribe. Make sure you win. And then when you win, make sure you use more private prisons. Check, check.
And a really
That's what happened.
Yeah, and a really good documentary. Have you guys seen Ava DuVernay's 13th? Have you guys seen it?
Oh, yes, it's amazing.
It's so good. So if you haven't seen it, watch that, because not only do you learn what we're speaking to, but you learn about why it's so important to have prison reform, but also why prisons were created in the first place to enslave minorities.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now to profit. I mean, billions of dollars a year. You think that politicians are going to let that go when they know that those are contributions to their campaigns?
Yeah, it's
greed.
And by the way, some of you might be thinking, oh, well, we've pretty much legalized marijuana. So why are we worried about housing more users in these private prisons? Just yesterday, Sean Spicer had said that, well, the federal government will respect medicinal marijuana. They will not respect recreational marijuana, and they plan on cracking down on that. So think about how much this move regarding private prisons is going to shape our policy, because big business wants to make money, and one way that they make this money is to criminalize nonviolent behavior.
And so a lot of people use marijuana across the country, like a lot of people drink beer. So they thought, that's great. That means that's more money for us, more customers, clients for us. And to Sam's point, look, of course, there's always been jails to house the people who break the law, et cetera. But if you watch the documentary, The 13th, you see how they industrialized it and made it a prison industrial complex. And they needed all those jails filled, and they went and basically enslaved a lot of African Americans again. And so just watch the documentary. It's not the only point of prisons, of course not, right? But you'd be shocked at what a huge percentage of the motivating drive of the prison industrial complex in the beginning was to make sure, hey, that they know their place. So there's a lot of ways that African Americans in this country have been enslaved. This is one of them.
Yeah.
Become a TYT member and you get all the shows on the network, including Aggressive Progressive, the most progressive show there is anywhere. Check it out, tytnetwork.com/join.